many are still grieving. Some families will be lost to one another forever. To those of you who face the difficulties of reconnecting with family and establishing ongoing relationships, we say sorry. We offer this apology in the hope that it will assist your healing and in order to shine a light on a dark period of our nation's history. To those who have fought for the truth to be heard, we hear you now.
You're listening to Adopt Perspective Podcast, a podcast for anyone affected by adoption. I'm your host and president of Jigsaw Queensland, Jo Sparrow. This podcast is a production of Jigsaw Queensland Post-Adoption Support Service. However, the views expressed are those of the people participating and not necessarily Jigsaw Queensland. The podcast discusses adult themes and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Adopt Perspective. I'm Jo Sparrow, your host and president of Jigsaw Queensland. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Melanie Dunstan, founder of The DNA Connection. Melanie is a trained genetic genealogist, I knew I'd trip over that word, private investigator and skip tracer with an extensive background in nursing, who has 5 university degrees, including a Master of Nurse Practitioner. She is passionate about using DNA to help solve mysteries, rebuild connections, and bring people back to their biological families. Jigsaw Queensland is excited to be hosting a free online DNA 101 workshop with Melanie on Saturday, the 28th of June, 2025. It's a special session designed for people impacted by adoption who want to learn more about using DNA testing as part of their personal search or family discovery. So today's episode is a bit of a preview and introduction to what will be covered in the workshop, what DNA can offer, why it's such a powerful tool for adopted people, and how you can join us for the upcoming workshop. So Melanie, welcome to Adopt Perspective. I'm so happy to have you join us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is one of my favourite podcasts.
Yeah. Thanks, Melanie. So, Melanie, could you start just sort of telling us a little bit about your background and how you became interested in genetic genealogy, that word I have a lot of trouble with, and DNA testing?
I get called a gynecologist sometimes, so at least you're not saying that, which kind of crosses over into my 2 worlds. I have to think about what day I'm working.
So, I will say it now, don't you?
It's all good. I'm used to that. Some people say that. So I've always been interested in family history since I was young. And then I went along to my local Cairns Family History Society and they started talking about DNA. And I was like, what's this about? And so that's where I started to learn about DNA. And it was just a monthly workshop. And I was like, oh, this is really, really interesting. And then it was sort of, I really got into the puzzle of putting it all together. And I'd always loved logic puzzles. And that's a bit like what DNA is about. And then once I started learning it, I started to work on adoption cases, which were people coming to the centre. And I was like, this is really a crossover of my 2 worlds. I could see my midwifery knowledge and support for women sort of blending in. And it's become a really, really nice crossover of my 2 worlds. So nursing and midwifery-wise, I've always loved supporting women and being with young families. And I think doing both sort of work in this space, that's where it's really come to the really nice blend of the 2 things. So I really love structure and learning, and I think that's where the DNA side is. It's really looking at a big logic puzzle and putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And then generally I like the love of helping people and putting the pieces of the puzzle together and supporting women and children. It's just a blend of my 2 worlds.
That's fantastic. It's funny, isn't it? Like now I'm in my 50s, I find that in the work I do now, which is not in any way, shape and form where I thought I would be at this age and doing the things I'm doing, but I actually pull on all of my skills, experience, education, everything from my entire life, right back to when I was working, in retail as a kid. Yeah. Those skills still come into the fore now that kind of build you into this place where it's like, wow, it's all just coming together now.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. And just being able to talk to a variety of people that I have across my nursing career, a variety of people are affected by adoption as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
and everyone can be affected by getting a DNA test back and it's not the results that they expect. So we've all got families as well. So
Yeah,
it's fascinating work. I love it.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to establish the DNA connection back in 2018?
I really love helping people, and I found out that there was actually nobody around that time. There was only very limited people, and there still is actually in Australia actually helping people do this um, as a job. So that's sort of why I started it, just as a little side gig for me. I was just like, oh, this is really, there's actually nobody really helping people in this space, and so that's why I started the business. But I actually love this work and just like connecting people or answering the questions. So the business has evolved since that time. So sometimes it's not always adoption. Sometimes it's a question of, can you solve this family question that's been in our family all our lives, or I've got results back and I don't know the answer as well. So, but every case was so different from the one before too. So it fills my cup of learning. Obviously, I've got a massive learning love, but it transports me to all different places. It might be within Australia, but also across the world. We don't know what results we're going to get when we look at that DNA. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in your experience then, what makes DNA testing such a powerful tool for people who are impacted by adoption?
I guess it's another tool for people to use, and it sometimes clicks in the answers that they already know, or it debunks things that they already know as well. So it's just, I say to people, it's just another tool in your kit that you can use to work for along the journey. It will connect sometimes to family that you do know or you don't know, but it's not just maternal or paternal. So it might be connecting you to siblings or grandparents or that wider family network as well. So it's just another tool. It doesn't always work out either, but it is just another tool that you can use. And we talk about DNA doesn't lie, but it can be really complicated as well.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you say it can debunk things because I think, as an adopted person, sometimes I like to think of it as magical thinking. So sometimes, even though have known something to be true, because like adoption, it can feel like you're on a house of cards. Like it doesn't feel like a stable foundation. And sometimes one little red herring will throw me off and make me question everything I thought I knew. And then when I come out of that magical thinking and realize that no, what I had known was actually right, I'm like, how did I ever go down that track? But I think that's just something that happens with adoption. So debunking is just as important as confirming. Yeah.
Yeah. And we know, like some of the cases that I've worked on, like I like to get as much of that story, that coincidental story that we get at the start of where people were, where were they living, what were they doing, all that stuff. And it's some of those little things that actually have clicked cases together or actually totally gone, no, that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
That make the story really interesting, that have cracked cases for us as well. Like it's clicking those things in or just going, that just doesn't fit, that keep it really exciting and interesting. I think for me, walking alongside working with people, they're the bits that, there was one we worked on that there was something about, they worked, I can't remember if it was birth mum or birth dad now, it's too long ago, but they worked for a newspaper and that was key for where that person travelled and stuff. So little
Yeah,
bits along the
absolutely.
journey that you just go, this has got to click in somehow, or it's not going to click in at all.
Making me think of all the true crime I like to watch.
Yeah,
That's one little
exactly.
mistake, one little connection.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the common myths and misunderstandings people have about DNA and what it can and can't do?
I think the most common one is that the answer is going to be there as soon as you get your results back. It's pretty rare that that happens. It does happen that you're going to get the answer that you want straight away, but typically it's not. Another one is that people are going to reply to your messages as well. People don't typically reply to messages. It's pretty common that they don't. Another one is that it's going to be easy to put it all together and click the answers there. It's not always easy. And how you analyze the results and what the results mean. Sometimes it takes a while to actually understand what's there and how things click together. And I think it's really important to take the time to slow down and actually learn what you're looking at and what those results mean and what those matches are.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think sometimes for me, DNA and ancestry, genealogy, all that kind of stuff, it's kind of like the accounting world to me, like it goes right over my head. And I go into those spaces quite anxious because the connection is so important to me, because of my adoption experience, which just makes it even foggier for me to navigate because I'm so emotionally invested in it.
Yeah. And it's really easy to go, oh, they're saying I'm a first cousin, and it might not be as well. Slow down, take your time, and don't rush to reach out to people would be my other thing. Just slow down, take your time.
Yeah. So without giving too much away, could you give our listeners a taste of some of the key topics that you're going to be covering in the upcoming DNA 101 workshop?
So I'm going to talk about the basics of DNA testing and try and keep it really simple. So we're going to talk about what tests you might choose and which and why, which companies you might choose depending on your story and where you're from and what you're looking for. We'll go into the basics of matching and what you might see when you get your results back, and then we'll talk about the next steps and how you get support around the results.
Yeah, such an important thing, getting support.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I know you're really passionate about helping people navigate that emotional side of DNA testing and family searching, which is so important and something I don't always find in this space. So why is that such an important part of the process?
I've seen it go terribly wrong. I think probably why I'm really important about it. And I guess that's where my nursing kicks in as well. I can see when I'm talking to people that I work with, I can see when they're struggling. And I think that's core to me to say, hey, I can see you're not coping very well. Let's back this off a bit and go and seek support and help. And I think as we get closer to that contact stage, that's when it gets really, really important. So I always encourage people to get in contact with you guys in Queensland or their state equivalent. Our mental health and our well-being is so important for our general health. So it's really important. And I feel it too. I'm working and walking alongside these people, and I feel it too. So, it's so important that we look after each other and stuff. So really important. And there's implications. DNA's got implications on our wider families as well. So thinking about who we're reaching out to and our wider families and stuff, it's really, really important that we think about everybody involved in this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can get so caught up in the external part of our search that we forget about that internal stuff and how the downtime that we might face while we're waiting for a test to come back or waiting for some results or whatever. That's actually, it doesn't have to be seen as dead air time. It can be time where we are exploring that emotional side and getting ourselves prepared for things, making sure we don't have unrealistic expectations if we have any at all. So yeah, really super important.
Yeah. And we don't need to rush. Like we can take our time and think about how we're going to do this. And that's where support agencies like you guys can really talk through what's going to be the best way, what's the best way for you as an individual as well. Everybody's got different strengths and how they're going to do it and what's going to work best for you. And I think that's where the support from a adoption support agency is really, really important.
Yeah. So finally, for anyone listening today who might be curious about DNA testing but are feeling unsure or overwhelmed like I always feel, what would you say to encourage them to come along to the workshop?
I'll try and make it as simple as I can. I guess it's such a complicated space, but that's my job, to try and make it as simple as I can and hopefully answer as many questions as I can. So happy for people want to submit questions beforehand. I'll try and answer those as part of the workshop. But yeah, I'll try and answer the general questions that I know affect a lot of people thinking about testing, and generally make it an easy to understand session. And I'd love to see you all there.
Yeah, and having spoken to you, I'm feeling really confident that you will be able to do that. So thank you so much for joining us today and for the incredible work that you're doing to help reconnect people with their families and their roots. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Looking forward to it.
And if you'd like to join our DNA 101 workshop with Melanie, it'll be held online on Saturday, 28th of June, 2025 from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. There's no fee to attend, but you do need to register. So just email us at support@jigsawqld.org.au with your name and postcode to secure your place. You can find a link to the DNA connection on our Facebook page and our website. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Melanie's work. So for anyone tuning in, just remember that every adoption experience is unique and it's never too late to begin your own journey of exploration. And if you're looking for more resources, support, or simply a space to share, Jigsaw Queensland is here to help. And if you'd like to support the podcast, just leave us a review, share the podcast, or let us know what you think by emailing or calling us, because we really do love to hear from you. And if you have a story that you'd like to share with us and you'd like to be interviewed for the podcast, just jump onto the main podcast page of the Jigsaw Queensland website and complete the prospective guest form that you'll find there. Just remember that Adopt Perspective can be and is listened to by people all over the world. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Adopt Perspective podcast. If you'd like to find out more, go to the podcast page on www.jigsawqueensland.com and you'll find a wealth of information and resources on the website. If you reside in Queensland, you can reach Jigsaw Queensland's Forced Adoption Support Service on toll-free 1800 210313, or you can call Jigsaw on 07 33 58 6666. If you live in another state of Australia, you can still call the Forced Adoption Support Service number and your call will be answered by the Forced Adoption Support Service in the state that you're calling from. In every other state, Relationships Australia operates this service. A big thank you to Matt Sparrow for composing and recording our original theme music. Until next time, I'm Jo Sparrow saying farewell from Adopt Perspective, a podcast for anyone affected by adoption.